How's it going? This is Mitch from the Native Survival School. Tonight we're going to talk about the Ranger's Triangle and other wilderness camp setups. Stay tuned. So the Ranger Triangle for organizing a wilderness camp is basically that they recommend that your sleeping camp be in one location, you store your food at another location, and you cook your food in a third location, thus creating a triangle. Now I've heard 200 feet in between from rangers, and I've also heard half a mile. And this is good. There's nothing wrong with this. A lot of people use it, myself included. But this is for backpacking. This is for backpacking. This is where you bring your food in. All the food that you're ever going to need. You're not fishing. You're not hunting, you're not trapping, you're not butchering animals. This is the way to go for that. And I've done 200 feet and been just fine with my triangle. Of course, storing food, we all know. You have to do a bear bag hanging up in the tree. There's a few ways to do it. That's what I usually do. Just a dry bag, right? Hanging up in the tree. But this is for backpacking. This is not for wilderness living or long distance backpacking. When you're doing long distance backpacking, and I'm talking 100 miles backpacking, and you're out there for a couple weeks, you're going to want to be catching some food. Because carrying that much food is going to be an issue. My buddy Kevin, who's a very accomplished woodsman, he does that type of backpacking or hiking where he does long distance, 100 miles in a trip. That's intense. It's a long time. It's a lot of walking. I've done some good trips myself, but I am not even close to reaching 100 miles yet. 100 miles hiking trip is solid. And yeah, you're going to be foraging for food. You're going to be fishing, things like that. This is not going to get that done. Okay, the Ranger Triangle is not for that type of wilderness living. So let's talk about other options. Alright, so wilderness living is going to change up the triangle a little bit. So we still have our camp that we sleep at. We still have our location where we store our food away from camp. Now this last place is where we do our butchering. Which means our sleeping camp becomes a dual camp. It's where you cook as well. I have a ton of experience with this type of wilderness camping. Animals go to your butchering camp all the time. They're drawn to the butchering camp because this is where your carcasses are. This This is where the guts are. This is where, you know, all the bones, all the meat, everything. All the guts, all that stuff is all here. And the camp where you cook, if you're a good clean cook, there's usually pretty much nothing to draw in animals. Because if you cook, there are certain ways to cook where you don't have a lot of residual scent. You know, if you're rock frying in camp, there's going to be residual scent on the rocks. All the fat and everything is going to be on the rocks. So you wouldn't want to do that. If you cook with pans, if you're frying meat, frying fillets, things like that, then you store your pots and pans with your food hung up in the tree. No big deal. There's nothing here but the food in your stomach after you've cooked it. Not a big deal. You're not going to smell that. Even if you panace fish, they're not going to smell it there, because then you burn the sticks that you used in the fire. So there are ways to cook in camp and have the residual scent be very low. And you just put everything else where you store your food. So this is a pretty good option. It's something that I have definitely a lot of experience with. But there's still another option that's better than this one. So the Rangers have a triangle. This is a wilderness square. This is a little different. You still have your camp, where you live, where you sleep. You have the place where you store your food, hanging up in a tree, pots and pans, all of that. Residual scent storage. You have your cooking camp over here. And the last one, the one furthest away, right, looks like a turkey track, is a butchering camp. So the camp where you sleep, camp where you cook, your location where you store your food and other such cooking implements, and then your butchering camp, which, by the way, is a great place to trap around your butchering camp. So there it is, the wilderness square. This is a very good way to organize wilderness living. You sleep in one spot, you cook in another spot, store your food in one spot, and you butcher in another spot. The butchering's furthest away from you. It's the best of both worlds. It's like having the triangle with your camp cooking storage with butchering added on top of it. Solid way to live in the woods. This has been Mitch with the Native Survival School. Hope looking at the Wilderness Square and Ranger Triangle helps you organizing wilderness camps. Be sure to check out our website, nativesurvival.com, and as always, enjoy the outdoors.